I welcome us to today's tutorials on how to write project or research report with Eze Sunday Uchenna. If you are new joining us, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we keep on posting a lot of educational things in this channel. So today's tutorial is divided into part A and part B. So we'll be having two different videos. The first video, which is part A, our specific objective is that by the end of this lesson, the student should be able to define variables, describe dependent and independent variables, define research design, differentiate between descriptive and correlation survey research design. So let's begin. What is a variable? A variable is a measurable characteristic which assumes different values among the subjects. That is, they have at least two values. For an individual member of a class of subjects to qualify as a variable, it must have the ability to differ or vary when subjected to certain conditions. If all members of a class are identical, the characteristics are referred to as constant. What does this long English mean? This long English is trying to tell us that for something to be a variable, it means that the form of that thing can change. From the example I'm going to give us, I'm going to explain more better. So let's go to the example. For example, in a mixed classroom, that is a classroom that has both male and female, we consider gender as a variable because it can assume a value in favor of male or female. But in a single class, that is a class that is either pure male or pure female, gender is not a variable but a constant because it assumes same value on all the members of the class. So let me use this now, explain what variable is and also differentiate it from constant. For something to be called a variable, it shows that it have at least two values. In a mixed class, that's a class that we have male or female, or we have male and female. In a class where we have male and female, gender is considered as a variable. Why? Gender is considered as a variable because gender can stand in for male and gender can stand in for female. So that makes gender a variable. For example, in a classroom where we have children from a rich background and we have children from poor background, we can say that family background is a variable. In a class where we have children that came from rural areas and children that came from urban area, we will say that um, location, family location is a variable. So we can say location, we can carry location as a variable. And so we have as many variables as possible. As far as something that can be able to stand in for at least two things or more things is considered a variable. For a situation whereby you have a class that is just pure boys, you cannot use gender as a variable because everybody there is a boy, or everybody is a girl. You cannot use gender as a variable. Or in a classroom whereby you are teaching children that all came from rich family, you cannot use family background as a variable. Rather, it is a what? A constant. So that is what variable means. So let's look at the characteristics of a variable. Every variable has at least three characteristics. And what are these characteristics? It is observable. That means variable is something we can see with our eyes. Secondly, it can vary. That means it takes up more than one form. It can take up two forms, three forms, and so on. Then another thing is that it is measurable. For us to be able to say that this person came from a rich family, there are certain things that we measured. Maybe we measure the amount of money the father has, the type of cars the father is driving, all those things. So it is measurable. It's something that you can measure. So variable can be measured. Let's proceed. Types of variable. We have three types of variables. They are independent and dependent variables, confounding variables, and extraneous variable. But our focus will be only on the first one because our target is on learning how to formulate a research topic for our project. We shall discuss variables in details later when we will be having other classes. For now, our major concern is to learn how to formulate a research topic. So what is independent and dependent variables? Independent variables are those variables that a researcher can manipulate. Dependent variables are those variables expected to change or to feel the effect of the change when the independent variables are being manipulated. So what do we mean in essence now? From the example I'm going to give us, I'm going to use it and explain this long English for us. So look at this illustration of independent variables and dependent variables. Here I put down that independent variables, I give some example, influence of ICT. ICT here is a variable. Unqualified teachers is a variable. Family background is a variable. While students' academic achievement. So this student academic achievement is a dependent variable. For example now, my ICT, which is my independent variable, I manipulated it by adding what? Influence. So I'm trying to check the influence. So as I'm trying to check the influence of ICT now, is affecting students' academic achievement. If you are confused, just relax. Let's look at the examples I'm going to give. From here now, as a researcher, listen, as a researcher now, I can say this ICT now is my independent variable. So I can manipulate it by adding this influence. So if I add this influence now on ICT, so I will say influence of ICT on students' academic achievement. So the influence of ICT on academic achievement now, influence of ICT now can make academic achievement to increase. Maybe the students are not doing well, but immediately they bring in ICT, they'll start doing well. So now, unqualified teachers now, I may say, okay, now I may manipulate the unqualified teacher, which is my independent variable, by adding effect. And say, okay, now let me search the effect of unqualified teachers on students' academic achievement. So you see now, these unqualified teachers now is acting upon the student academic achievement. And then again, another one is family background. I may decide, okay, now I'll bring in a child from a rich family and then see how the ability for their family to have money, how does it affect the child academic achievement? And then also a child from a very poor background. I will manipulate it by bringing in a child from a poor background and then see how it affects his academic achievement. So if you can see now, bringing in that child from a poor family or bringing in that child from a rich family is a manipulation that I'm doing. Are you getting me? So bringing in that child from a rich family or bringing that child from a poor family is manipulation that I as a researcher is doing. And when I bring in a child from a rich family, it affects the student's academic achievement. When I bring in a child from a poor family, it affects the student's academic achievement. So in essence, independent variables are those variables that a researcher can manipulate, while dependent variables are those ones that feel the effect of those manipulations. We can see that as the researcher manipulates the independent variable, it affects the outcome of the academic achievement. For instance, the influence of ICT may promote students' academic achievement. The effect of unqualified teachers may impede students' academic achievement. The impact of family background may also limit students' academic achievement or improve it. Do you understand? So all these independent variables, it is the dependent variable that is feeling the effect. So these are all manipulation. First of all, I brought in ICT, I remove ICT, I brought in unqualified teachers, I remove unqualified teachers, I brought in family background. Are you getting me? So these are manipulation. I'm manipulating my independent variables and then it is sending an effect on the dependent variable, which is what? Academic achievement. So now let's look at research design. What is a research design? A research design is a plan or blueprint which specifies how data relating to a given problem should be collected and analyzed. It provides a procedural outline for the conduct of a given investigation. What is this long English saying? This long English is saying that it is the research design that gives a researcher a guide on how he is going to carry out his research. For example, for an engineer to build a house, he needs a plan that was drawn, like a plan of that house that has been drawn by the architect. It is that plan now that will guide the engineer on how he's going to build the house. So it's the same thing that applies here. So once you want to carry out a research, first of all, you need a research design. That research design is like that is the blueprint. It's just like the house plan that an engineer will collect from an architect. And we have different types of research design. We have historical research design, we have survey research design, we have case study research design, we have causal comparative exposed factor research design, and we have experimental research design. But because of our time, I'm not going to go through all the research design. I'm just going to pick one so that we will go forward, because my major aim here is to teach us how to formulate a research topic. So we are going to pick survey research design, because I'm picking survey research design because that is the most popular research design that a lot of students are using. More than 80% of undergraduate prefer using survey research design. You can go to your library and check almost almost like majority of the work you will see there are mostly done using survey research design. It is only when you go to most of these science departments, like you go to sciences, that's where you see people using experimental. You go to department like history and literary studies, you see them using historical research design and the rest of it, or developmental research design. But mostly it is survey. It is survey that is very popular. So now, what is a survey research design? A survey research design is one in which a group of people or items is studied by collecting and analyzing the data from only a few people or items considered to be representatives of the entire population. These representatives are called samples. However, there are surveys in which the entire population is studied. It is called census. For example, those of us who knew when Nigeria had her last census in 2006, census means you are counting everybody in the population, or you are using everybody in the population. You are collecting data from everybody in the population. Population means people living in a given geographical area. But in a study, when we talk about population, we are referring to those individuals involved in your study. Are you getting me? Those individuals in that area you have taken for your study. That is what we call population. I'm going to explain it further. For example, a researcher decides to study the perception of siblings in a polygamy home towards their father. If you collected your data from all the children of all the wives, it is called census. But if you collected your data from either one or two children from each of the wives, then those one or two children that you use for your to collect your data are samples, because they are representing the whole population. For example, if you come to a class that has both boys and girls, and you pick out a guy and a girl and bring them out and then collect their data, it means that those two people now are samples of the class. They are showing that that the class you came to pick people, that they are boys and there are girls, and then whatever they are telling you now, they are telling you things on behalf of everybody in the class. So let's look at types of survey research design. We have developmental survey research, we have descriptive survey research design, we have correlation survey design, we have public opinion survey research design. But our concern will be basically on descriptive and correlation survey design, because they are the most commonly used by students. What is descriptive survey? These are those studies that aims at collecting data on and describing in a systematic manner the characteristics, features, or facts about a given population. These studies are only interpreted in describing certain variables in relation to the population. Usually, hypotheses are not tested, since they are only interested in the description of an event as they are. This long English is trying to tell us that descriptive survey is just all about describing a phenomena. So, for example, the use of ICT in public schools in Safe local government of Zamfara state. So, look at it here. ICT here is a variable, and now we are trying to describe how ICT is being used in Safe local government of Zamfara state. So what we are doing now, we're only describing how is it used. Do they used to use it very well, or don't they use it very well, and so on. So whatever we do there is what? A descriptive study. And what we are going to apply, and using descriptive survey will give us all the steps we are supposed to undergo in order to ensure that our description goes in a systematic way. A study like this is said to be descriptive survey. It is only interested in describing the how ICT is being utilized in public secondary school in Safe local government. Descriptive survey only captures one variable. As you can see, it only captures ICT in relation to population. And what is that population? Public schools. While correlation survey, on the other hand, is a type of survey that seeks to establish what relationship exists between two or more variables. The study at times indicates the direction and magnitude of the relationship between the variables. I'm going to explain. They employ a special group of statistics known as correlation coefficient or regression analysis for the data analysis. What do we mean in all this big English? What we are saying here is that while descriptive statistics is interested in describing a variable, what correlation survey does is that it tries to see if there is a relationship between variable A and variable B. It tries to establish if there is a relationship or there is no relationship between them. And sometimes, in trying to develop this relationship, it can even go further to tell you the direction of the relationship, whether the relationship is positive or the relation is what? Negative. And whether the relationship is big or the relationship is what? Small. And it also employ the process in which we do that is that we use what we call correlation coefficient or regression analysis for data analysis. Concerning this one now, just don't think about it. Don't even bother yourself about it. I am going to teach us how to do regression analysis and the rest of it when we get to chapter 4, because that's where we do analysis. So for now, don't bother yourself. Our interest is just for you to learn how to formulate a research topic. So let's go further. Many students always confuse correlation survey with experimental research design. Why? Because while experimental design tend to establish relationship of causation between two or more variables, correlation studies do not establish causation. What do we mean here? Experimental research design has to do with a researcher trying to find out how variable A causes variable B to happen. Are you getting me? That's what we do in experiment. That's experimental design. It only check and said, okay, that for there to be water, that hydrogen and oxygen has to come together to form water. So you see, it's hydrogen and oxygen that causes water to exist. So that is experimental design. While correlation, on the other hand, is not like that. Just like I have given us here, I said that two variables, A and B, are highly related. Doesn't mean that A causes B or that B causes A. It could be that both are related to another variable that causes both to occur. For instance, a student who performs well in physics will perform well in mathematics. This shows that there is a relationship between physics and mathematics, but that doesn't mean that it is physics, knowledge in physics, that causes a student to have knowledge in mathematics. No, but rather the student is doing well in physics and doing well in mathematics is because the student is what? Intelligent. And intelligence is another variable. So it is intelligence that causes knowledge in mathematics, and intelligence causes knowledge in physics. But mathematics, knowledge in mathematics versus knowledge in physics are only related. So if you are trying to study variable relationship between knowledge in mathematics and knowledge in physics, what you are going to use is what? Correlation study. But if you are trying to check the the causation relationship between intelligence and knowledge in mathematics, then what you are doing is experimental study, because intelligence causes knowledge in physics, intelligence causes knowledge in mathematics. So that's the difference. Should be able so that you will not mistake it. But we are not treating experimental study today. We are still going to treat it further, not today. For now, my interest is teaching you how to formulate a topic. So we are concentrating on correlation study. So for example, influence of ICT on students' academic performance in public school in Zongo Nkata local government of Kaduna State is a very good example of a correlation study. What this topic is now saying is that, is there a relationship between the use of ICT in school and students' academic performance in public school in Zongo Nkata local government? That's what the thing is asking. So from there, now you're going to formulate questions that will be testing to know if there is actually a relationship. Here we are going to come to the end of this tutorial on part A. And once you are done with part A, try and go and watch part B, because it is in part B that we are going to apply the knowledge we have learnt on variables and research design, and then we are going to formulate research topic by ourselves. And at the end of and by the end of the second video, I'm very sure that if you actually understand everything we did here, you'll be able to formulate your own topic without any issue at all. Thank you. See you in the next video.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you will not miss out in the next episode. Thank you for watching and God bless you. See you in the next class.